What is good, you guys? We are back with another video, and today I got a new little series for y'all. I'm experimenting, seeing how entertaining this is for all y'all, and it's gonna be called Vibes Rewind. I'm gonna be rewinding, comparing some NBA drafts, and seeing how good they are compared to each other, and which one would maybe win in like a hypothetical game, or which one is more successful. Just talk about them, compare it against each other, talk about the biggest busts, the biggest steals, all those type of things. So if you like all that, you like that type of content, go ahead and like us up on the video if you haven't already. And let's get right into it. Alright, man, let's start off with the 2016 NBA draft. We're comparing the 2016-2017 NBA drafts in this video. And I want to start off with the 2016 NBA draft because obviously that draft was first. This draft has put out a lot of really good players. And let's start with the number one pick, the coveted best player in this draft. And it's arguably, maybe, depending on who you talk to, still the best player in this draft to this day. Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons has been under a lot of criticism the last couple days, especially with his free throws, his things like that, just not being aggressive once again. The trade bin crowd is in effect because of it. But let's talk about the positives in the man's game. He's the best perimeter defender in the game right now. He's one of the best passers at 6'10". When aggressive, not even when aggressive, one of the best transition players in the league. When aggressive, can be decent going to the rim in the half court, but that's the problem. He's not aggressive enough at all most of the time, and is fine just floating into the background with Joel Embiid, Tobias Harris. Even when Tobias Harris is struggling, he's fine just floating into the background, and that's the big problem with him. And that's been a problem with him ever since he stepped foot into this league. The shooting has always been a problem, but at this point, I'm not even thinking about that, because if you still I may sound stupid for this in maybe 2 or 3 years, but if you still think that he's gonna get a jump shot after like 5 or 6 years in the NBA, and he hasn't even shot more than 10 in one season, I don't think, then you're just hoping for something that most likely won't come. So I'm just looking at stuff outside of that, and there's just more struggles besides just shooting. Confident and shooting, I'm talking about the 3-point line. Confidence at the free throw line, because that's not his skill. If you think he's missing 10 free throws because he just can't shoot free throws, you're out of your mind. Aggressiveness, not any close to what aggressive he should be. Just floating into the background, and he should be such more of a better player if he just be aggressive 50% of the time, because his defense really carries a lot, because he can literally lock up some of your favorite players at time and make it really hard for others. And when you have that type of skill, that type of length, you're definitely in the conversation for the best player in this draft class. Now let's talk about the 2nd, 7th, and 3rd picks in this NBA draft. 3 really good young players in this league right now. Brandon Ingram, Jamal Murray, and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown, let's start with him. Jaylen Brown having his breakout year this year before getting hurt, being that real two-way star that everybody thought he was going to be coming into the NBA draft. Well, not everybody thought. A lot of people thought it was a stretch for the Celtics to pick him at the 3rd pick, and I congratulate Danny Ainge for doing that at the 3rd pick, because not a lot of people agreed with him at the time. So shout out to him for that, although he has been getting a lot of criticism and retired. So people may not remember some of the good times and some of the good decisions that he's made, but shout out to Danny Ainge for that. Jaylen Brown has become a really good player, has carried the offense at times when Jason Tatum is struggling. And if Jason Tatum is struggling, then it's literally only Jaylen Brown, because it was just them two this year. Kemba Walker was out a lot, you know what I'm saying, and nobody else outside of that was scoring. So it's really impressive that him and Jason Tatum could carry the offense like that, and especially when one of them at a time can carry the offense, because sometimes both of them have off nights. And the mid-range is deadly, bro. The mid-range is for real deadly. He can get to the rim. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. He takes pride in playing defense, and you love that in a basketball player. In my opinion right now, I think Jaylen Brown is the best player in this draft. I think he's the best player in the draft, because he has a two-way ability just like Ben Simmons, but he brings that scoring touch from everywhere on the other side of the floor. And although Ben Simmons is like the best defender in the league, Jaylen Brown, what you say, maybe a top 10 perimeter defender? I'm not sure, but he's elite at defense. But Ben Simmons is just insane at defense. So, but the offensive gap is super wide because Jaylen Brown has also got better at facilitating with his bigger role and have the ball in his hands more. Because although he did score in the past, I got a Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, Isaiah Thomas facilitating more. And this year, the ball was literally in their hands like the entire time. It was basically like Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in Los Angeles. Like Paul George and Kawhi do everything for that team. They facilitate, they rebound, they score. And it's the same thing for Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. One of them are bringing up the ball, facilitating to the other player, trying to score for themselves. And when that happens, you either see that they can facilitate at a decent level, or that they need a real point guard in the lineup. And you still probably need a real point guard in the lineup, but they showed that they can do it on an okay level. So shout out to Jaylen Brown for that as well. But let's get to Jamal Murray now, man. Jamal Murray is one of the most up and down players in the league. He really, really is. Jamal Murray is that guy as a scorer in this NBA draft. Probably, I'd say, I really say these three players I'm talking about are probably tied for first. I'd say Jamal Murray is the best shooter out of the three, and he's the most confident for sure. I mean, like, him with Jokic, people thought that was the NBA championship team, and that's a lot because of Jamal Murray, because at times he can score with the best of them. He matched Donovan Mitchell when he was at his best, 50. Just, that's insane what he did with that, bro. Like, it really, really is. 50 ball. I mean, in that Los Angeles Clippers series, it seemed like he could not miss. And you could say that's because of the bubble, but you still have to put the ball in the basket at the end of the day. And in this season, he kept it going, not as high as production as it was, and he had some cold spells. But, man, oh man, he had some really, really big games for Jokic and the crew, and it was a hit. It was a dagger to not have him in that Phoenix Suns series, because I felt like that could have been an interesting series, a very entertaining, interesting series, because Jamal Murray gonna go at him, shooting from three, shooting the middies, a little spin, getting to the bucket, trying to dunk on people. He's a very entertaining and energy type guy, and he would have brought a lot of energy to that series because they feel like that's what they were lacking there. And without Jamal Murray, they were just outmatched. And with that, I think he's the fourth, tied for third for the best player in this NBA draft. So right now, I have Jaylen Brown, Ben Simmons, and Jamal Murray tied with somebody I'm about to talk about next. Alright, now the second pick in this draft we're talking about is Brandon Ingram, the Slim Reaper. You know what I'm saying? Starting out with Los Angeles, looked disappointing for a couple years, but had that one season that you could see the facilitating potential in Brandon Ingram in Los Angeles. But LeBron came, kind of messed up the rhythm with these young players, and they got shipped off to New Orleans for Anthony Davis. And in that first season with New Orleans, boy oh boy, all-star, averaging 24 points a game, looking like that guy that everybody thought he was going to be in Los Angeles. And that gave him hope. I feel like that gave him a lot of confidence coming to this next season. And in this next season, Zion Williamson became the guy, but Brandon Ingram, make no mistake, did not fall off. Just a couple of shots fell off, you know what I'm saying? I think efficiency is still there. Still a really, really great player. Decent defender, underrated facilitator. That's a really big part of his game that I think people just overlook, like it's not even there. Like, he's a great facilitator at that small forward position. And like I've been saying with these other guys, these wing initiators, when you don't have a real point guard, and all that they do in Lonzo Ball, to be able to get your own shot and create shots for other at the wing position is very, very important. So he's another one of those guys that can do that. But I think Jaylen Brown is just better, and I think Ben Simmons' defense is too much for him, because I just think Jaylen Brown has become a little bit of a better scorer, like all around, than him, and he's also a better defender. So that's why I have him above. Above Brandon Ingram and Jamal Murray, because of the performances he's had in the playoffs and just the scoring outburst. And I haven't seen that from Brandon Ingram, and it's most likely just because he hasn't had the opportunity. But that's why right now he is number 4. He's not the guy that's tied for third. I'm about to talk about the guy that's tied for third in a little bit. Not the guy that's tied for third, but he's the 4th best player in this draft. Basically 5th, but 4th for right now. Now we're talking about the tie for third guy, the 11th draft pick in this draft, and that is Domantas Sabonis, man. A very underrated player, great big man. I think he gets overlooked because he's on the Indiana Pacers, and let's be honest, Indiana Pacers aren't that fun to watch, so I think he gets a little bit underrated and overlooked, but still a good player. Great initiator as a big man. Probably the best besides Nikola Jokic in the league, because he's really like that. Jokic is just on a different level. Good post scorer. Do I think his stats are a little bit boosted because he just gets so much opportunity on the Pacers, because the Pacers are, although they are a well-rounded team, they don't have a guy. I don't think Domantas Sabonis is a guy, but he can be a guy on a 9th, 10th seed. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he's like that yet, but do I think Brandon Ingram is more like that? I'm not sure, and I don't think so. And I think Domantas Sabonis, I'm talking about at their peaks, not their full careers, because with their most opportunity, New Orleans Pelicans and Indiana Pacers, I think Domantas Sabonis has done more with that. It has been better than Brandon Ingram, so that's why I have him tied for third with Jamal Murray as the best player in this draft class, man. Yeah, he's one of the most underappreciated players in this league. I think he got snubbed in the All-Star game and all of that. He's still a great player. So shout out to Domantas Sabonis, man. He started off his career not great in OKC. A lot of people look at him as a bust. He got the opportunity in that Victor Oladipo trade. He was like basically a throw-in in there going to Indiana, and now look who stayed longer, Victor Domantas. Domantas has become that guy with Victor's injuries. And he's really just made the most out of every opportunity he's got since he left OKC. Just being a throw-in in that trade, playing, being more durable. And then when Victor goes out, he plays a little more. He plays better, and he becomes the guy on that team. So shout out to Domantas Sabonis, man. All right, man. Now let's get into these big steals, the two biggest steals in this draft. At the 27th pick in Pascal Siakam, at the number 36 pick with Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon ended up winning Rookie of the Year because Joel Embiid had been hurt, and this was his first year, but he was still hurt for most of the season, so he got that. And Ben Simmons didn't play in his actual first year, ended up winning Rookie of the Year over Donovan Mitchell. And the next one, which we'll talk about that draft in a little bit. But man, oh man, Malcolm Brogdon had a really good rookie year and kind of built on that and became like one of the best role players in the league with Milwaukee. Then moved over to Indiana and has had a couple bumps in the road just with injuries and things like that, but still has been one of the most underrated and most reliable players in this league, and has shown off his facilitating promise even more with the Pacers than he was with the Bucks, because he had Eric Bledsoe, although I don't why he had the ball more than Malcolm Brogdon, because we know who Eric Bledsoe now is. He is now considered a fraud. He had Giannis being the type of point forward he is, having the ball in his hands a lot. Chris Middleton, as he became a better player, had the ball in his hands more, so he was kind of pushed to the side as more of like a really good catch and shoot guy, and they let him go. And now he's in Indiana, and like I said, showing off his facilitating promise a little bit more. Do I think he's like he should be a number one initiator on a really good team? No, but he can be a number two and a really good catch and shoot guy on a really great team. Probably like a little bit of a bigger role than he did have in Milwaukee. Is the peak of what Malcolm Brogdon could be on a championship team. But let's talk about Pascal Siakam now, man. Pascal Siakam this last year has been one of the more ridiculed players in the league because he spins every time, and losing is happening in Toronto, and he misses a lot of game when he layups, and it's a lot of jokes you can crack on Pascal Siakam, but he's still a really, really good player. He's worked really hard to get to this point because he's not the most skilled. He's worked hard to get here. Because starting in the G League, becoming a hustle guy, then becoming a fourth option, then becoming a third option, winning a championship, and then Kawhi leaves, and then he becomes the number one scoring option. Starts off great, have a 50-point game in his first game, I think, and then it just all falls down from there. And he's still a really good player, but it's nothing close to what people thought he was going to be after Kawhi left. And that's perfectly fine, man. He's a second, third option. He's not a first option scoring-wise on any team, and that's fine. Not everybody is, but I don't think he should be ridiculed for that. There's a lot of funny jokes on Pascal Siakam on the internet. I ain't gonna lie to you. I've laughed at a lot of them, but do I think he should get all the scrutiny that he does? No, because he's been pushed into every single role that he got, and he got freaking grabbed and threw into that freaking first option role because Kawhi left Toronto and there's nobody else to score. So they said, "Oh, Pascal, we're gonna give you all these shots and you better hit them like you were with the less shots you were before." And like, not everybody's built for that. And that's tough because it's made him look like a worse player because of it. But he's still, like, as we saw, a good second, third option on a championship team. And nobody can ever take that away from him. Now let's talk about the 2017 draft and compare it to the 2016 draft. Let's talk about the number 1 pick first. And that's Markos Fultz. Markos Fultz, he was a great player coming out of college and had a lot of confidence and issues starting out. Had that big shoulder problem. Had a lot of drama circling and surrounding him in Philly. And I think it just wasn't right for him to be in Philly. It wasn't the right place. Fans crazy. Media crazy. It's a big place. He didn't need to be in Philly. And when he was traded to Orlando, he became that score-slashing type of guy and had a couple successful seasons. Had that terrible ACL tear at the beginning of this one because I think he was about to have a breakout season, maybe averages 16, 17 points for that Magic squad. Ended up hurting himself, but I think next year is his big year. Cole Anthony on the squad. Maybe it's a couple less shots because Cole Anthony had a promising rookie season, but I still think Markos Fultz is big in the Orlando Magic's plan, and hopefully he has the success that he deserves because he's a good player, seems like a good guy, and just had a rough start to his career. And people thought some things about him that probably weren't true, including myself. But he's kind of fixed that. Became an okay shooter now. Because his mechanics was just wrong because his mind and his shoulder was something wrong with him, and he just had to get out of that toxic environment in Philly, go to Orlando, and now he's in a better spot now. Alright, now let's talk about some of the best players in this draft. And let's start out with number 1, Jason Tatum, man. Boston Celtics. Danny Ainge will forever be at least an okay GM just for absolutely fleecing the 76ers, moving back into the draft, and then getting Jason Tatum, the best player in this draft. I think because of this Donovan Mitchell playoff run, he would be maybe like, oh, Donovan Mitchell's better. No, he's not. He's just not. He's not a better player. Jason Tatum's a better defender, a better scorer, in my opinion. Donovan Mitchell may have him on playmaking, some things like that, but Jason Tatum is the better player for sure. He does a lot of the things that Donovan Mitchell does, just he's 6 inches bigger. And people are talking about, well, Donovan Mitchell's gotten farther. Bro, didn't Jason Tatum get to the conference finals multiple times at the beginning of his career? Big moments at the beginning of his career, dunking on LeBron and being huge in some of those playoff performances. And then this year he dropped 50 on KD's head and beat the Nets. Bro, it beat the Nets full strength. He beat the Nets full strength. This is not with James Harden out. It's not with nobody was out. He gave him the smoke with no one out. Gave him all the smoke. 50 of them things, bro. So Jason Tatum is definitely the best player in this draft, and I don't think it should really be talked about. I was saying I can see how some people, I said on Twitter, I can see how some people think that with recency bias, but it's just really not true. Jason Tatum is truly the better player still. But at number 2, we got my guy Donovan Mitchell. You know what I'm saying? Donovan Mitchell. Although I'm saying Jason Tatum is better, Donovan Mitchell is still that guy, being big in this playoff run, although having probably his worst game last game. Still really big, bro. Has been having some big shots in all of these games, getting to the bucket, putting his team on his back in some of these games when they weren't shooting lights out like they did last game. Some games, his supporting cast members have been shooting terrible. In the last playoffs, he carried them last playoffs, bro. Dropped 50 points in every single game. I was talking about it earlier with Jamal Murray going back and forth with Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell was going insane, and nobody else on that squad could hit a shot, bro. And people were talking about, oh, Donovan Mitchell needs help. Donovan Mitchell needs help, and this season they have come in and they have shot better in these playoffs, especially in that last game, bro. In that last game, they were shooting insane, especially in the first quarter. They shot 70% from 3 in the first quarter, and that's the type of help that Donovan Mitchell needs in every single game, and especially late in the game. They need to do it more late in the game. But yeah, man, D Mitch is like that. He's just not number 1 in this draft. JT's still better. Alright, man, now let's talk about, I got 2 players tied for 3rd, and I may regret talking about this, and maybe one guy's just a little bit better than the other. But the two guys I have is Bam Adebayo, De'Aaron Fox, two Kentucky teammates, man. Bam Adebayo, although having a disappointing playoffs, still a really, really good player. He should have been top 3 defensive player of the year, in my opinion, but I think he was top 5 or something like that, and made an All-NBA team for sure, second All-NBA team. Just because Rudy Gobert was the center, not because he's a sixth best defender, because it's not positional listed yet. But Bam Adebayo is a really good player. Another really good initiator out of the post. Kind of like a Jokic on offense, passing wise, just not close to as good as Jokic is, you know what I'm saying? But he's a very underrated passer, good finisher at the rim. When his mid-range is hitting, his offense is really, really good. But in that playoffs, his mid-range just wasn't hitting. His finishing, like when he has all that in his bag, he's a really, really great player. But I think his defense is always going to be really good, and that's what makes me think I may regret putting him at top 3. I think he's just maybe top 3 over the guy I'm about to talk about, and that is De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox has had a career year this year, 25-7 averaging, bro, and he has been big time. His 3 has become better, getting to the rim more, and just scoring at all levels way, way better. He's a star in Sacramento now, and they need to start trying to. Anyways, like I was saying, De'Aaron Fox is that guy in Sacramento, and like I was saying, he needs the Sacramento Kings need to start working on getting him some better players, because he's a very talented guy. He's on the level of a Jamal Murray and maybe a little bit better, but he hasn't been able to show that at all on the big stage because he hasn't got close to the playoffs, hasn't sniffed it, not even to play a game. So hopefully next year Tyrese Halliburton can get a little bit better. They get another rookie in there, and hopefully they can start making a little bit of noise in the Western Conference. Now let's talk about the 5th best player in this draft, and it is a drop off from De'Aaron Fox and Bam Adebayo to this 5th player, but still a really good guy, really good player, and it's still in the playoffs right now, and that's John Collins, man. John Collins has been reduced, his role has been reduced a little bit from the regular season to the playoffs, but he's still a really good player, can score on every level, especially catch and shoot threes, has become a way better 3-point shooter as his career has progressed, obviously can jump out the gym, and is an underrated defender in my opinion, especially rim protection wise. So shout out to John Collins, 5th best player, a little bit of a drop off, but he's still pretty good. Now, after talking through both draft classes, talking about the number 1 picks, talking about the sleepers, talking about the top 5 players from each draft class, let's compare them, and we're doing starting 5s only. The starting 5 from the 2016 NBA draft versus the one from the 2017 NBA draft. We got Jamal Murray at point guard, Jaylen Brown at shooting guard, Brandon Ingram at small forward, Ben Simmons at power forward, should be his real position, and Domantas Sabonis at center. Very offensive-oriented starting lineup, but has some really good defense in it, with Jaylen Brown and Ben Simmons, the best perimeter defender in the league, and you have Jamal Murray basically playing against that off-ball guard and put Ben Simmons on the dog of the team. Like that squad, but let's talk about 2017 NBA draft. We got De'Aaron Fox. We got, I think, Jason Tatum. We got, Donovan Mitchell, then Jason Tatum, then John Collins and Bam Adebayo. John Collins is obviously the weakest link in all these 10 players, but still a really good role player. It could shoot the 3. Bam Adebayo, the anchor of that defense, and Jason Tatum, Donovan Mitchell are the key scorers. But if you need a little bit more, you got De'Aaron Fox, 25-7 this year. Really good matchup. I'm taking the 2016 NBA draft just because of their defense, and I really trust Jaylen Brown, and we have a post scorer in Domantas Sabonis, and Jamal Murray can really get hot along, like I said, with Ben Simmons' defense. And we also have Brandon Ingram, which is probably the 5th option, the 4th scoring option on this team, in front of Ben Simmons, because he really can't score outside of 10 feet. A really good matchup. I'm going to leave it to y'all. Comment below which one y'all would have. That's all I got for you guys today. If you like Vibes Rewind, that's the name of this series. If you like Vibes Rewind, go ahead, comment below and say the vid's fire, or tell me 2 other drafts to compare, or we can compare seasons, how good seasons are, how good teams' history is. Anything y'all want me to compare and go deep into, go ahead, comment that below. If you like that type of content, go ahead and sub on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.